Aloha, kakahiaka kako. Welcome to the joint hearing for the Committee on Water and Land, the House Committee on Water and Land, and the House Committee on Energy and Environmental Protection. It's Thursday, April 13th. This is the 8:45 a.m. agenda. We're in conference room 325 at the State Capitol. My name is Mahina Poipoi, Vice Chair of Water and Land. To my right is Chair Linda Ichiyama, and we're joined by EEP Chair Representative Lowen and Vice Chair Cochran, and our committee members. So we will move straight into our agenda, starting with SCR 41, designating Hawaii's coral reefs as critical natural infrastructure and strongly supporting nature-based solutions such as coral reef restoration for risk reduction. First up, we have DLNR in support.
Aloha, chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee. Brian Nielsen testifying on behalf of Department of Land and Natural Resources. We stand on our testimony in strong support. This designation could have major implications in terms of accessing federal funds, but also responding after natural disasters to help our reefs be able to recover. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Ted Bolin on Zoom.
Good morning, chairs, vice chairs, members of the committees. Ted Bolin on behalf of the Hawaii Reef and Ocean Coalition in strong support of SCR 41. As the previous speaker indicated, this resolution would be of an advantage for obtaining federal funds and responding to disaster relief. Coral reefs are a wonderful natural resource in terms of protecting the shoreline and preventing damage after disasters. So it's very important that we maintain our reefs and that we have the access to federal funding where needed. So please support this resolution. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. Next up, we have Amelie Person on Zoom.
Not present.
Not present. We have next Matthew Geyer on Zoom.
Not present.
Not present. Those are the only people signed up to testify. Is there anyone else in the audience or on Zoom wishing to testify? Okay, seeing none. Members, are there any questions for the testifiers? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to SCR 57, SD1, urging the city and county of Honolulu to exempt from real property tax those property owners of residential units within 1/2 mile of an active municipal solid waste landfill or construction and demolition landfill, or deemed to have been impacted by an active landfill to a degree that warrants such an exemption. First up to testify is Makana Paris, Hawaii Ironworkers Stabilization Fund on Zoom. Oh, there you go.
Aloha, Chair Ichiyama, Lowen, Vice Chairs Poipoi, Cochran, and members of the committee. Anthony Makana Paris on behalf of the Hawaii Ironworkers Stabilization Fund. And we come before you mostly to say mahalo. Mahalo because this body passed one of the most progressive environmental justice acts in 2020, creating a 1/2 mile buffer zone between Opala, hospitals, schools, and homes. Common sense policy. And as we understand, the counties are primarily in charge or have the function of actually taking care of the Opala. So now we ask to urge the city and county of Honolulu to basically move forward with caring for those that had the unfortunate happenstance of living next to the citation of a landfill. Through no fault of their own. In Nanakuli, 1985, the landfill started. 40% of the Opala went into the community. And over decades, through allowable permitting processes and questionable zone changes, we have a situation where many people in the community are passing away from scientifically documented, medically public health verified diseases and concerns. And all this is to take another step in environmental justice towards helping our community to be made whole. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. Next is Ed Werner on Zoom. Mr. Werner, maybe you need to unmute.
Yes.
Okay. Aloha,
Okay,
Chair, Vice
aloha.
Chair. Yeah, my name is Ed Warner. I live in Nanakuli for 61 years. That's my entire life. Since 1962, we lived on Moahihi Street. Along our backyard is PVT landfill's front yard. I just want to say that, you know, they've been dumping trash from I think 1985 or 87, somewhere around there. I remember the first time that the first truck dumped in the back of our home where we used to have farm animals. We had to kind of shut that down, pigs, chickens, and cows that we raised back there, but now it's a landfill. But yeah, I'm here today in big support of this tax resolution. PVT didn't do nothing for those who live alongside the landfill. I mean, I understand they gave scholarships to Nanakuli High School. I mean, to me, that's just cash for trash, straight out. They didn't come to our home and try and control the dust. They didn't come and wash down, the residential that live alongside that landfill. It's just disappointed that we can let this foreign owner from Japan to come into our residential area. I'm on Hawaiian Homestead. My dad has his property on Moi'i Street. I mean, it was just sad that we was raised over there alongside that landfill. So I would just appreciate if all you guys can just support this measure to go forward. And, I think, we deserve a break within Nanakuli community. I would gladly appreciate it. As a longtime resident all my life, I lived there. We just been getting trash, dust out, asbestos, you name it, they buried it in our backyard. And, a lot of our neighbors got sick. My dad died of cancer. His neighbors, I can name you almost 40, 50 guys right alongside that landfill that died due to health issues. So, I think there's a problem with that landfill that nobody's addressing. Probably the health department need to really address why, or do a study why a lot of people in our community has medical issues alongside that landfill, especially when census tells us that, our life is cut 10 years shorter than an average of 82. So that should be a big rude awakening. And I just thank you guys for listening me out. And mahalo, you guys. Aloha.
Mahalo. Those are the only people signed up to testify. Is there anyone else in the audience or on Zoom wishing to testify? Okay, seeing none. Members, any questions for the testifiers? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to SCR 113. And this one, urging the Department of Land and Natural Resources to minimize human interaction at certain locations during coral spawning events. First step is DLNR.
Aloha again, Brian Nielsen, testifying on behalf of Department of Land and Natural Resources. We stand on our written testimony and support, and the department supports this type of effort to restrict access during these pretty limited spawning events to help corals recover from the devastating bleaching event that happened in 2015. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ted Bolin on Zoom.
Thank you, chairs, vice chairs, members of the committees. Ted Boland on behalf of the Hawaii Reef and Ocean Coalition in very strong support of this resolution. As the previous speaker indicated, there's an opportunity here to help out the corals. I think we all know corals are under threat from warming oceans and other factors. And when there's a spawning event for the cauliflower corals, it's a predictable event, and it can, by keeping people away from the corals during a very short period of time, we can give the corals a better chance to survive. So I hope that the committee will move this resolution and help give to the corals a favor when they are in their vulnerable state as they are growing. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. Next is Matthew Geyer on Zoom.
Not present.
not present. Those are the only people signed up to testify. Is there anybody else in the audience or on Zoom wishing to testify? Okay, seeing none, members, any questions? Oh, Representative Mortala.
Thank you. For DLNR, how long would these closures be?
They're just for a few hours. Usually it's just morning time, and we don't actually close the waters. We work with the county or whoever has jurisdiction over the parking and just close that for just a limited period of time when the corals are spawning.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, Representative Cochran.
Sorry, get my microphone. Good morning, thank you. And have you folks taken other islands into consideration? I'm thinking in particular Olowalu, the Kupuna reefs there, where
Yeah,
this occurs.
we haven't. It's been mainly piloted in West Hawaii, and the coral, the cauliflower coral, Passalopora meandrina, was the one that was hit really hard in 2015, and so those efforts have really been focusing on that species. But we can look into other islands and see if the county or whoever controls the access would be on board with those type of measures.
Okay,
Great, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we will recess for decision-making. Okay, we are back from recess, going into decision-making. For SCR 4.1, recommendation is to pass as is. Members, any questions? Okay, seeing none, Chair for the vote.
Good morning, members. Voting on Senate concurrent resolution number 41. Recommendation is to pass as is. Chair, Vice Chair vote aye. Representative Chun?
Aye.
Rep. Yanyaden is excused. Rep. Hashem excused. Rep. Morikawa?
Aye.
Rep. Takayama?
Aye.
Rep. Souza?
Aye.
The recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. And members, same recommendation. Any discussion? Seeing none. Chair Lowen for the vote.
All right, so for the Committee on Energy and Environmental Protection, recommendation to pass unamended. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Rep. Gates excused. Rep. Kahaloa.
Aye.
Rep. Caruso.
Aye.
Rep. Woodson is excused, and Rep. Ward is excused. Recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
Moving on to SCR 5.7, SD1, recommendation is to pass as is. Members, any discussion? Oh, Representative Souza.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I just wanted to acknowledge, that environmental justice issues are so important. Thank you to Makana for testifying and Uncle Ed for testifying on this measure. And this is one way to achieve some sort of equity that we hope to achieve, with allowing these people who are in these areas near landfills to, find some sort of fair treatment, despite all of the health issues and everything that transpires near landfills. So thank you so much, and I'm in strong support. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more discussion?
I have
Okay,
a comment,
Representative
just a quick
Morikawa.
comment. This is one way to do this for the community, but on Kauai, if you heard about it, there's a community benefit program which also would work. Just keep that in mind. Thank you.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, Chair for the vote.
Voting on Senate concurrent resolution 57, Senate draft 1. Recommendation is to pass as is, noting Reps. Yanyaden and Hashem excused. Any reservations or noes? Recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, Chair.
And same recommendation, members. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, Chair Lowen for the vote.
Okay, so for Committee on Energy and Environmental Protection, recommendation to pass as is, noting Reps. Woodson, Gates, and Ward excused. Any noes or reservations? Seeing none, recommendation is adopted.
Okay, moving on to SCR 113, recommendation is to pass as is. Any discussion, members? Okay, seeing none, chair for the vote.
Voting on Senate Concurrent Resolution 113, recommendation is to pass as is, noting Reps Gagnon, Hashem excused. Are there any reservations or noes? Vice Chair, the recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
And EEP members, same recommendation. Any discussion? Seeing none, Chair Lowen for the vote, please.
Voting on SCR 113 recommendation to pass as is, noting Reps Gates, Woodson, and Ward excused. Any noes or reservations? Seeing none, recommendation is adopted.
Okay, thank you. This meeting is adjourned.
Good morning. We are here for the hearing of the Committee of Energy and Environmental Protection. Today is Thursday, April 13th, and we are around 9:18 in the morning in conference room 325. And we have first on our agenda SCR 64 SD1. And this is, hang on, let me read the details here. Requesting the Department of Health Solid Waste Section to develop a plan of initiatives for improved waste diversion by working with counties to address each county's unique needs according to its geography, population, and industry makeup. And first up to testify in person is Department of Health. Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Chair Lowen, Vice Chair Cochran, and Representative Haloa. My name is Michael Burke. I'm with the Department of Health. We've submitted written testimony commenting on this resolution. Stand on that written testimony, and I'm here if you have questions. Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Burke. And on Zoom, we have Ted Boland, Hawaii Reef and Ocean Coalition and Climate Protectors Hawaii.
Thank you, Vice
Mr.
Chair
Boland.
Cochran,
Hello.
Chair Lowen. Ted Boland on behalf of the Hawaii Reef and Ocean Coalition and the Climate Protectors Hawaii. We have comments here. We strongly support the idea of diverting waste from landfills by reducing, reusing, and some recycling of solid waste and composting, especially for organic waste. However, we strongly oppose trash incineration, which is not really waste diversion when you're putting the ash, which is toxic, into the landfill, and when you're putting toxic emissions out into the air. It's a very bad, trash incineration is a very bad environmental solution. It's also more expensive than landfilling. So I would suggest that that's not a good thing to include in the options that the Department of Health is to consider. And so I would urge the deletion of the 6th whereas clause from the resolution, which says, whereas incineration or the use of waste to energy technology is a strategy for reducing the state's solid waste from landfills while extracting energy and valuable materials for recycling. I have some questions about how much valuable materials are being extracted from recycling. In any event, trash incineration is not a good option and should not be part of the consideration, and therefore should be deleted from that whereas, and also in the language from the resolve clause. So that's our comments. We propose a resolution. We support diversion. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. Available if there are any questions. Thank you.
Mahalo, Mr. Boland. And I believe in person, we have Anthony Makana Paris here with Hawaii Iron Workers Stabilization Fund. Good morning.
Okay, good morning. Aloha, Vice Chair Cochran, Chair Lowen, and member. Anthony Makana Paris with the Hawaii Iron Workers Stabilization Fund. We stand in strong support of the resolution before you. We also believe in and support waste diversion of all types, including recycling, reusing, and using our current infrastructure of waste to energy. Because we have a olelo no'iau in Hawaiian called ai kamea loa'a, eat what get. We have current technologies now, and we have human lives suffering now. How long does it take through the regulatory process to get new technology in place in order to address the impacts on communities now, particularly Kanaka, Native Hawaiians in this area? And while I say that waste diversion through incineration or waste-to-energy technology might be questionable and used in other places, Hawaii is the most isolated landmass on the face of the planet. It takes fossil fuels to get all of the imports here. If we were to actually route this back out, which we were looking through at county governments before to go to Oregon or to the Pacific Northwest or even to China, to the Philippines, that would have cost more fossil fuels emissions into the air, increasing our ecological footprint on the planet. While because of the specific situation that Hawaii is in. But inter-county recycling, inter-county waste incineration with current technology, it's like all the study is asking for is to look at whether or not it's feasible to have the state take on the kuleana of facilitating coordination between the counties to figure out how can we do better with what we have. And imagine if we create something that the state can help you with. Not necessarily to transfer the kuleana from the state to the counties or vice versa, but just to partner. And we recognize the comments from the Department of Health saying that there needs to be resources. We recognize that maybe it's more feasible to step it, to look at current technology first in existence now. as opposed to trying to do the whole thing at the same time. So we're very supportive of the resolution as is and available for questions. Mahalo.
Okay, mahalo, Mr. Paris. And also, I believe in person, we have Mr. Ed Werner. Is it, nope? Or is Ed on Zoom?
He could be on Zoom. Yes, he is.
Oh, there you are.
Hey,
Sorry, you're
aloha.
on Zoom. Aloha.
Yeah. I'm Ed Warner. Like I said, I live in Nanakuli for 61 years. Grown up living next to landfills almost my entire life. I think we need to do a better job in recycling a lot of stuff that was put in my backyard, which was asbestos, contaminated soil, petroleum-based liquids. You can go on and on and on. I mean, I understand we got the health department. They're supposed to be doing the policing for a lot of these stuffs that have been buried in our backyard. I mean, 25 years ago, for instance, PVT landfill, we're just dumping it straight into the ground. Maybe 50 years from now, it's going to be all under my dad's home, or if it's not there yet, it's uphill, so everything runs downhill, so it won't be long, maybe 10, 20, 40, 100 years, all that liquid and that waste that they buried, it's probably going to be in our ocean. Our ocean is not too far away from the landfill too, so everything runs downhill. And I support this measure too. So we need to do better control on recycling, like Makana said. And it's 2003, man. Where are we standing? We're getting so much problems with our water. I'm at Pokai Bay right now, and we got problems with our ocean. We got problems with where I live, with our ocean, with our canals and everything. So it goes on and on. We just need to do a better job in dealing with this type of environmental. I mean, a lot of my family members that live along the landfill too. So everybody that I know that got sick and actually died from illness. So if we can just, get tougher on environmental and health department need to police what they need to police. But that's all I get for say. Thank you guys for listening to what I had to say. Aloha.
Aloha. Mahalo, Mr. Werner. And also sending in supportive testimony was Joseph O'Donnell, International Association of Bridge, Structural, Ornamental, and Reinforcing Iron Workers, Local 625. Also Melvin Paris, individual in support, and Henrietta Paris. So mahalo for your folks' input. Next on our agenda is SCR. Oh, sorry. Any questions for the testifiers?
I have some quick questions,
Okay.
Makana. I just want to be clear exactly, because of course we can all care about protecting the INA and environmental justice and all of that, but you're testifying on behalf of iron workers.
Mhm.
Is it that from that perspective, do iron workers have positions at H Power now? Is like waste, or what's the connection there? Is it that you would expect this would create jobs for members?
So two parts. The first is, Chair, is that it's the family members of labor, the House of Labor, which actually live predominantly in that community. A lot of them are iron worker families, retirees. So we have a fiscal interest in this because of our trust funds and the long-term health effects that they have that wasn't actually treated. So now we have to bear the cost for a problem that wasn't ours that we created. The second is, the reality is that if we don't find a waste solution for not just Oahu, but for the state in the next decade about how to address our Opala, there's a real possibility that construction will minimize or come to a halt, because there is the need for it. In all of our testimonies before, we've never said that PVT landfill or Ramanala Gulch or any other landfill operator was not necessary. We're saying it's about location, and we support diversion of the waste. It's how we handle our waste. So that's the second one. And for Hawaii's situation with Oahu, it's like the city and county of Honolulu already passed the deadline the Land Use Commission required them to select another site. They're coming before neighborhood boards this week to let them know and update them on site selection. This is April. And the Office of Planning says it takes about 6 to 8 years to actually go through the process to cite a new additional landfill situation in anywhere in Hawaii. And so we're on a ticking timetable because the Land Use Commission asked them to close by 2028 for Waimanalo Gulch, effectively cutting off 60% of all capacity. And then the next concern is, where will it go? The only operating landfill on the island at this point is going to be PVT landfill. And then what happens when they reach capacity? Because they estimated about 2 years ago in their environmental impact statement for an expansion that they had 8 to 10 years left. So we're in a situation where if we don't start nudging towards creative solutions, looking with what's happening in the next decade, we're going to be in a world of hurt for the construction industry writ large.
I guess, but, sorry, there's a fly landing on me.
No problem.
There's, I guess waste to energy doesn't negate the need for a landfill, though. I mean, just so do you understand that? Like you still need to have a landfill even with waste to energy projects?
Yes, we understand, Chair, that there is a need for continuation of legacy landfills, what we call, because of particular federal requirements for large carcasses, medical sharps, and other. But we also recognize that Hawaii is in the second pilot project with Covanta, with the City and County of Honolulu, for turning the ash, regulating the ash, and then putting it into construction materials, including into concrete and into pavement materials under the Caldwell administration. So we see that as a step forward. Is it the best thing out there? No, we're piloting it. We're actually on the forefront. And that's where my energy and our energy is trying to make it. How do we make the best waste to energy possible? We already got the plant. We're already looking at the infrastructure. How do we make that better? Are we advocating necessarily for new plants for waste to energy? Not necessarily, but that's not our expertise. Our expertise is in construction, and we recognize that we need a place to recycle the construction materials. And from the information we have is that we could actually use construction materials from the ash, from what we preliminarily see coming out from Covanta's plant in the continent, and then the second pilot here in Hawaii.
Yeah. I guess I would just say from my perspective, it's like I hear what you're saying. I don't disagree, but we have the thing that they produce is energy, and the energy has to be affordable for Hawaii's ratepayers, or else we're just asking to ratepayers, which are mostly taxpayers, not everybody's a ratepayer, to just subsidize the whole thing by paying higher electricity rates. So I think whether we pass this or not, or things move forward, or you pass a bill or not, it's like these projects still have to be feasible. There's no getting around it. So someone just put a proposal on the table. There's an RFP out from the utility. Whoever's proposing this new waste to energy project should put a proposal on the table so it can be considered. That was not a question, I apologize.
I was like, oh, my Chair, I was like, do you want me to respond? Because I was like.
No, thank you, sorry.
Like Kaka'o, we support 100%
Yeah.
process, procurement, regulations, ratepayer support. We're here to find a win-win solution moving forward with the infrastructure we got. So,
Okay,
mahalo.
thanks.
Okay, mahalo for your time. Any further?
Really quickly,
Yep.
sorry,
Okay.
Ted, are you still on Zoom?
Yes, I am.
What was you were saying, you had an actual suggested amendment I don't think was in your testimony, but what was that? So we can think about it
That
before
was,
DM?
yes, I did. My amendment was to delete the sixth whereas, which deals with trash incineration. And it reads, whereas incineration or the use of waste to energy technology is a strategy for reducing the state's solid waste from landfills while extracting energy and valuable materials for recycling. So I would urge the committee to delete that, and also the reference to, in the second resolved, the whole second resolve talks about incineration. And I would urge the committee to delete the references there to incineration. Incineration is as I said, involves air pollution as well as toxic waste, ash going into the landfill, which creates toxic leachate. So
Okay.
from both
No,
air and
I
water
appreciate,
perspectives.
okay, I just wanted to clarify what it was. I
Okay.
appreciate that. I think the idea might be just to, there's been a lot of discussion about it, so I think having a better, some evaluation of the feasibility of it would help answer some of the questions that have been out there. But thank you, appreciate your.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, no
thanks. Any further discussion or anyone else here present that would like to testify at this time? Seeing none. Next item on the agenda is SCR 77, SCR 1561. It is requesting the Hawaii State Energy Office to conduct a study to determine the extent to which owners of multiple properties that are places of public accommodation within the state aggregate their required parking spaces and choose to designate and electrify parking spaces in a county that is not the same county where the majority of the parking spaces are located. That's a mouthful. And at this time, in person, we have Mr. Chris Yunker, Hawaii State Energy Office, present for testimony. Good morning.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, we stand on our written testimony providing comments and are available for questions. Thank you.
Mahalo. And possibly Mr. Matt Geyer on Zoom to testify.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Testifying in support, it's Matt Geyer. Testifying as an individual in support. I'm with Hawaii Environmental Change Agents, and apologies for missing the earlier hearing this morning.
Mahalo, Mr. Geyer. And sent in comments, Tina Yamaki, Retail Merchants of Hawaii, and supportive testimonies, Barbara Best and Caroline Azelski. At this time, any other people want to testify on Zoom or in person? Doesn't look like it. Members, any questions for our testifier? Sorry? Yes?
Question.
Good. Yeah, go ahead, Chair
Energy
Lone.
Office. I'm always amazed by how more complicated these studies are than we think they are, or maybe
Yeah.
there's a middle ground. So this law, it's not under HSCO right now, right? Is it under DAGS? The EV parking stall requirement, who would be accountable for doing like enforcement? I don't know how well it's really enforced, but.
I would have to check on that, and I can get back to you.
Okay.
I don't know that off the top of my head.
Okay. Okay. I guess that's all. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll leave
Thank
it
you.
at that. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Next item is SCR 82, SD1, SSCR 1557. This is supporting the Hawaii State Energy Office in the establishment of an integrated Hawaii Pacific hydrogen hub. And at this time in person, we have DBED Director to testify.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair,
Aloha.
committee members. My name is Scott Murakami, here on behalf of the Director's Office. DBED stands on its written testimony in support. Mahalo.
Mahalo. And also from Hawaii State Energy Office, Mr. Yunker.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Chris Yunker from the Hawaii State Energy Office. We stand on our written testimony in support and are available for questions. Thank you.
Mahalo. Bless you. And also in person, Len Higashi, Executive Director of Hawaii Technology Development Corporation.
Aloha, Chair,
Aloha.
Vice Chair, members of the committee. We stand on our testimony in support. We also, just pointing out that we have a Hawaii Center for Advanced Transportation Technologies that have been hydrogen advocates for years. So thank you. Very proud of this proposal.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And also in person, Kiko Bukowski, IBEW Local 1260 here. No, not present. Okay, anyone else like to testify on Zoom or in person? Seeing none. Members, any questions for our testifiers? Okay, seeing none. We shall move on then. Let's see, hang on. In support, we had Della Teraoka of UH, and also Peter Dames, Executive Vice President, Servco Pacific Incorporation, and Julie Yunker, Hawaii Gas. and also Douglas Perrine in support. Last item on our agenda is SCR 135, SSCR 1652, requesting the legislature to convene a working group with representation from all levels of government to develop a program to phase out the use of PFAS in the state. At this time, we have Mr. Ted Bolin on Zoom to testify.
Thank you, Vice Chair, Chair, members of the committee. Ted Boland on behalf of the Hawaii Reef and Ocean Coalition and the Climate Protectors Hawaii in strong support of this resolution. PFAS chemicals are harmful to human health and they don't go away. We call them forever chemicals. The EPA recently put in a new standard for 6 of the PFAS chemicals, and it's about as low as it can be. It's 4 parts per trillion. And that's a way of saying that's the lowest they can measure. So it's a way of saying these chemicals are harmful to human health and need to be eliminated from our environment in order to protect human health. And therefore, I support this resolution to establish a working group to get our arms around this problem. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Mahalo, Mr. Bolin. Anyone else wishing to testify in person or on Zoom? Seeing none. Sorry, Mr. Paris.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Makana Paris. Not on behalf of the Hawaii Island Workers Stabilization Fund, different hat, on behalf of the Kapolei Makakilo Honokaihale Neighborhood Board. As their chair, we have passed a resolution actually calling for major concerns over PFAS because they have been found in wells that feed into our area. And we are very concerned over the potential long-term implications, as was mentioned by the previous speaker, and believe a working group towards helping to figure out better ways to actually manage this problem will be quite helpful. Mahalo.
Okay, mahalo, Mr. Paris. Anyone else? Seeing members, do you have questions for any of the testifiers at this time? Seeing none, comments were sent in by Environmental Health Administration from DOH, also Island Energy Services, and Douglas Perrine. Supportive testimony was sent in by Regina Gregory, Dana Keave, B.A. McClintock, Sherry Pollock, and Dylan Ramos. And at this time, members, we will recess for decision making. We are in recess. Aloha, we are reconvening the Committee of Energy and Environmental Protection for a decision making. And let's see, hang on, sorry. So for SCR, what happened to my sheet? Sorry, got it all mixed up. SCR 64 SD1, Chair elects to pass as is. And any discussion this time? Seeing none, Chair Lowen for the vote.
All right, SCR 64 SD1, recommendation to pass as is. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Rep. Gates.
Aye.
Rep. Kahaloa.
Aye.
Rep. Peruso.
Aye.
Rep. Woodson.
Aye.
Rep. Ward excused. Chair, recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. Next, SCR 77, I elect to pass as is. Members, any discussion? Seeing none. Chair Lowen for the vote.
All right, voting on SCR 77, recommendation to pass as is, noting Rep. Ward excused. Any noes or reservations? Seeing none, recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. Next is SCR 82, and recommendation is to pass as is. Any discussion? Seeing none. Chair Lowen for the vote, please.
Voting on SCR 82 SD1, recommendation to pass as is, noting Rep. Ward excused. Any noes or reservations? Seeing none, recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. And last is item SCR 135 to pass as is. Any discussion? Seeing none. Chair Lowen for the vote.
Voting on SCR 135, recommendation to pass as is, noting Rep. Ward excused. Any noes or reservations? Seeing none, recommendation is adopted.
And with that, thank you, everybody. We are adjourned.